Hello. Oh, hello, you wonderful creature. I am so excited that you are here for the 3-day free Claim Your Confidence challenge. I'm so proud of you. With so much changing these days, I want to give you permission to feel free to sip some tea, drink some lemonade, maybe even pour yourself a glass of Chardonnay while we tame the voices of doubt that might have blocked you in the past or are blocking you now. Let's kick this off and overcome some overthinking, shall we? One of the biggest roadblocks to overthinking is often fear or uncertainty. Sometimes this is a fear of where to start, a fear of how to start, even a fear of where what we start is ultimately going. I want to remind you that you are creative. You are worthy of expressing your creativity. And there are no flaws in creativity, just like there are no flaws in you. How awesome is that? You're basically already winning. Now, overthinking is a very common trait that so many people experience. It's often worry or a loop of worry running over and over in our brains. And overthinking can sometimes cause us to feel nervous. It can even create difficulty in contributing to conversations. Sometimes we're overthinking about the reaction that what we say will have on others. And sometimes even worrying if we're going to lose our window of opportunity to share our contribution. Sometimes overthinking can create an environment in ourselves where we are constantly comparing ourselves to people around us, from our friends and family to even those people we work with. Overthinking can also create scenarios in our minds that can sometimes turn small events into catastrophic scenarios. We're thinking worst case scenarios. At this point, I want to take a minute and just point out how easy it is for us to say, of course that's where my mind goes. That's why I'm in this class. That's why I want to overcome overthinking. But if you believe in the power of your mind to go to a catastrophic level, why not believe in that exact same overthinking mentality, but in the most positive, abundant, incredible version? If we believe that our brains and our minds and our overthinking can really spiral us in this worry loop, couldn't that overthinking be reframed to an abundant overloop where we're overthinking how many incredible, amazing things could happen to our friends and family? Sit with that for a second. Overthinking can also have us sometimes living in the past, rethinking failures, rethinking failed relationships, failed conversations, failed jobs, thinking what we would have done different, what we could have done different, and sometimes overthinking knowing that there's something that we should have done different, but we just can't figure out what it is. Now, overthinking can also be about things in the future, things we have very little control over. Overthinking can really pop itself up just about in any place in our minds. Really, the underlying issue with overthinking, beyond fear and uncertainty, is just the racing thoughts, and sometimes an inability just to slow those thoughts down. Now, the general idea of overthinking is something, like I said, many people experience, and in different times, because it's tended to be related to stress. Overthinking is often something that we do to avoid making a decision. Did you know a coping skill to avoid making a decision is to process every single possible outcome, but then you're not making a decision? So something to help you through this is just deep breathing. Because naturally, deep breathing has a way of physically calming the stress triggers in your body, which allows your mind time to rest and focus on what your decision is or what it is you're deciding between, instead of all of the scenarios that are coming up. Brain goes, wait a second, I'm really deciding between this and that. Okay. Now, if you've done the deep breathing and you say, I need more, I got you, don't worry about it. One of the things I want you to do when you're struggling with overthinking is give yourself a time limit on making a decision, okay? Don't rush yourself, but say you're gonna think about it for 30 minutes, and at the end of 30 minutes, you're gonna have a decision. Because that gives yourself a start and an end, and it encourages you to actually focus on what you're pondering, let's say. I also want to encourage you to schedule actual time to think about your decision. Now, this is basically scheduling when that 30 minutes of decision making is going to happen, because then you put it in your calendar, you put it in your, this is my calendar, put it in your phone, put it somewhere so that you know you don't need to worry about thinking about it any other time of day, because you know Tuesday at 4 o'clock, you're going to spend 30 minutes thinking about this particular decision, whatever it is. And again, you're probably going to have to do this multiple times because we tend to overthink about a lot of things. But this is a way for you to take control, to step with fear, to step with uncertainty and say, you know what? I'm certain that I know I'm going to set aside time to think about this on this day at this time. And then you're reclaiming your power. You are also using mindfulness to be present because you're saying, you know what? I feel myself overthinking. Hold on. I know how I'm going to handle this. It's all about reframing and redirecting power. Basically taking the power away from overthinking and that overthinking loop and that overthinking into negative thoughts, and instead taking that and utilizing that overthinking for abundance and for positivity and saying, you know what? I'm going to let my mind think as much as it wants, that 30 minutes at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, and then I'm going to find my answer. Also, I want to remind you that there's really no overnight cure, as it were, towards overthinking. It's about consistency in practicing habits so that you recognize when you're experiencing overthinking so that you can take control of that feeling, of those emotions, and of that experience. Yeah, I wish I could tell you exactly 1, 2, 3, and it'll be gone. But we are going to get through this together. Because when you allow yourself pause, when you're feeling and when you're in tune with your overthinking or your loop of thoughts, that's exactly the moment when you are able to take control because you are aware of it. That is truly the first step in slowing those thoughts down. Then you're going to challenge those thoughts. Like we said, we're going to reframe from a negative mentality into an abundant mentality. With then setting, for an example, those 30 minutes aside, you're going to focus on active problem solving. You're going to focus on what it is that you're thinking about. Through setting aside time to think, through calendaring that out, that is going to be an act of mindfulness because you're aware of how you're feeling. You're reframing from a negative thought into an abundant thought. You're focusing on when you're going to spend time thinking about this. So you are being incredibly mindful of what is happening. Following any decision, it's always good to reflect on that process, on the decision you made. And then always show yourself some love and gratitude and thank yourself for allowing space to think, space to process, and actively making a decision. And know that you are not the only person who experiences that, okay? Raise your hand if you've ever been an overthinker. Me. So you're not alone. And I know it's not just you and me going through this. Okay, you ready to dive into your activity? Because I am. I want to set you up for success. So the first thing I want you to do is decide what kind of writing format suits your needs. Oh, did I not mention? The first exercise involves some writing. So you're going to need to decide, do you like a notebook? Do you like a blog, an online program, or a classic journal? Following choosing your writing implement, I want you to set a goal to write, but this goal is actually going to be to decide where you want to write and what time of day is ideal for you. Okay? Then I'm going to want you to take a few deep breaths and allow yourself to focus on whatever feelings are coming up for you, whatever thoughts are coming up for you as you go through your prompt. Once you finish your activity, I'm going to ask you again, take a few more moments and read through what you wrote down. And then I want you to summarize everything that you wrote down into about 2 sentences. Now, that can be your responses you're summarizing in 2 sentences, or the feelings you had doing the activity or following completion of the activity. Now, it is perfectly okay if you go through the exercise and only write down a few words. It's also very okay if you go through the exercise and you find yourself filling out an entire page, because this is your experience. It's unique to you. And if you find yourself overthinking during the exercise, take time, refocus your thoughts on what makes sense to you, what feels natural to you. Do not attempt to write what you think you should be writing, but instead allow yourself the space to give yourself full attention simply to the task at hand. Now, in the words of Julie Andrews, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. I want to challenge you to take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, to answer as many of the following prompts as possible. Okay, I'm going to give you a good tip. Pick a song that's your personal power ballad, and basically you have until the end of that song ends to complete the activity. That sounds fun. Okay, your writing prompts are as follows. I like who I am because I'm super at, I feel good about my friends think I have an awesome, somewhere I feel happy is, I mean a lot to, others reckon I'm great at, 10 words to describe me are, something I really enjoy is, I really admire myself for, my future goals are, I know I can achieve my goals because I'm naturally gifted at, I wish others knew this about me. Now, when you're done, be sure to share what you've written and your power ballad, because first of all, we can all use more empowering songs on our playlist in the Motivate Her Facebook group. Okay, you're all set. The next step is to claim your confidence. You got this.